Hello, my name is Lisa Baudouin. Today in Lisa's chat room, we're going to be talking about the process I use to process everything called wiggling the thumb and where I keep all that information, which is in my therapy playbook. So stay tuned and keep watching Lisa's chat room. Content warning. The information in this video contains topics such as mental, physical, and sexual abuses. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised.
Therapies for a Better Me series, written and hosted by child abuse survivor and advocate coach Lisa L. Baudouin. Copyright 2021 by Lisa L. Baudouin, all rights reserved. Source disclosure. While Lisa has copyright ownership of her theories, analogies, and most therapies that she presents, Lisa is not the owner of the sourced information that is sometimes used in her presentations, with citation credited at times on the bottom of the slide where a specific source is referenced, or at the minimal, in the credits at the end of the video. If you would like to use the source material, you must contact the sources directly to make such requests. It is also encouraged to research their information and to donate to their causes after watching this video. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Baudouin, and welcome to Lisa's chat room. I'm a child abuse survivor and an advocate coach, and what that means is that I share my experiences, theories, and therapies with others. I usually do this in a 6-part presentational series that I call The Dynamics of Abuse, but I've decided to create a more personal series that I named Therapies for a Better Me to describe in more detail some of the therapies and analogies that I use for myself for day-to-day living. So before we go any further, please understand that I'm not the doctor or the counselor or the therapist. I'm the patient. I'm the person on the opposite side of that desk, which I'm now 58 years old. And in all that time, I've created my own therapies that help me. But it also means that as a patient, in no way am I recommending that what I discuss here in these videos replace any medical instruction or therapies that you currently have or will have in the future. Also, too, the way I look at things and the therapies that I share in these videos may not work with everyone. And because I am the patient, there are some rules, like when it comes to commenting, which I've listed in the description below. So on with the Therapies for a Better Me 101. This is the actual very first video in this series, and I thought long and hard what it would be if I could only share one piece of information with you that may help you in some way. And that is the process that I use to process. And I call that wiggling the thumb, along with the containment of that process, which I call my therapy playbook. So before we get into it too much, let's just go through this process of wiggling the thumb. It's just an analogy that I will use, but I'm going to explain it as we go along. So the first thing that I'd like you to do, and it has nothing to do with any kind of hypnosis or anything, is to take in a nice breath, let it out, and then look at your hands. We're going to look at our hands, and then we're going to look at our right hand. Turn it around. Now we're going to look at our thumb. Look at the thumb really well. And now we're going to wiggle that thumb 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. That is the whole process that I use to process any single topic that I am looking at. So let's get into how this came about. If you haven't watched The Dynamics of Abuse, you can comment in the comments below and I'll send you the link. But basically, I walk you through step by step my journey of how I was abused as a child and then how I came to understand these analogies and these therapies that I put in place. So in the first video, I discuss about how I was very abused by my mother. I was mentally and physically and verbally abused by her. Basically, my hands were back here. That's metaphorically speaking. And then in 1974, my dad held us captive in our house for about a year. And then after that, what happened was he went to prison and my mother gave all her children up, my sisters and I, to the state. So I became a ward of the state and I went into a foster home. So in all the newspapers, it was talking about how this family stayed in the house for a year. They were like hermits. And so that was my nickname in school. And kids would come up to me and kick me and hit me and call me all these awful names. And also, too, in the foster home, there was a little girl that was hitting me and kicking me and trying to dare me into doing that to her. But what I did was I ran away and I ended up in the juvenile detention. Now, at the time, that was on the 11th floor of the courthouse. And there was instantly a feeling I had there. I felt at home because there were a lot of kids there that were troubled, and I seemed to connect with them. And then also, too, the guards were super nice to me. So I think it was the weekend there, and then the foster mother came up to talk to me. She convinced me to go back, but I ended up running away again from there. And then eventually I was put in all kinds of foster homes and ran away from every single one of them. Then eventually I was deemed a juvenile delinquent. They put me in Milwaukee Children's Home. And then from there, I went to Stoughton, Wisconsin, and stayed in Martin Luther Group Home for about 2 years. Now, during that time, schools were going on strike. They were going off strike. And most of the time, I wasn't there anyway. I was skipping. Or even if I was in the class, I wasn't focused on what was going on in the class. So during that whole time, I really didn't have, first of all, the mental processes to process anything. But then I missed a lot of that schooling as well. So then during the time I was in the group home, I started to run away to my dad. Now he had gotten out of prison, and so I was visiting him in Racine, but then he eventually went down to St. Louis, and he had begun to drink, and I saw him doing things that just were really questionable. There was even one point I remember my older sister and I were talking to each other, and we said, this doesn't seem like our dad at all. We really saw the change in his behavior. But we didn't pay much mind to it. This was a person that, at least for me, I had trusted him my whole life. Unfortunately, when I went down to St. Louis on his birthday, he gave me some alcohol, and then he gave me a substance that's much like ecstasy, and he sexually abused me repeatedly, continuously. And he kept me under this fog for some time, and then eventually he stopped giving me the substances, but then he replaced those substances with grounding tools. And I talk about this in the dynamics of abuse more. So again, if you haven't watched that, you really should before you listen to these videos. But the point is that as he was letting me off these substances and I became more coherent, now he was saying things to try to get me to stay. He was saying things like, it's in the Bible. It's perfectly natural. Lot's daughters did it to Lot. He was trying to keep me there, but as I became more coherent, I finally got the courage to run away. And unfortunately, I ran to someone who was heavily into substances, really heavy substances, and very negative activity. And I got involved in that. So basically what's happening is, metaphorically, now with what my dad did to me, my hands were tied behind my back. I kept them there. And I did that through the use of substances. And then throughout my whole younger adult life, whole thinking was a turmoil. Eventually I got off heavy substances, but I still drank, I still smoked, I still had crazy behavior. I would have bursts of anger, I would have moments of terrorizing fear, I would have panic attacks. One minute I would seem and appear as fine, and then the next minute I would be screaming or yelling, or I'd lock myself in my room, and I tried to function as best as I could. Growing up in that situation, the only normalcy I ever saw was a girl down the street, and I compared that to myself. I thought, why don't I have that? But I didn't have the mental capacity to really process that information. The only thing I remember is watching shows like Lost in Space and those family shows, Partridge Family, where they gave you the illusion of what a family should be like. So I was always trying to get that. Unfortunately, I made poor choices. There were people that didn't have my safety and my security in mind, not just in intimate relationships, but in friendship. I would create a friendship and have that friendship immediately. And then within a couple of weeks, a month or two, what would happen is it would become explosive. Family situations, explosive and volatile and fighting. And then all of a sudden some normalcy, and then whoosh, fighting again. And really, that's how it was like in the home prior to being stuck in the house. There'd be moments of quiet, and then all of a sudden there'd be these outbursts of my mother and my father fighting and my mother drinking. And prior to the house, I didn't know that he drank. I wasn't aware of what he was doing. He was a pretty quiet person, but he was gone a lot. So I wasn't aware of his behavior or what was going on with my parents. I just saw what my mother was doing to me, which was really verbally and mentally and physically abusing me. Throughout this whole time, my whole life, I basically kept my hands behind my back. And a lot of times I'll use the analogy of the Wheel of Fortune, where all the memories that I had were so awful and so sad that when I would think about something, I would push it. I learned how to push that memory away. And I did that using substances. I did that using crazy behavior. I did that. Smoking cigarettes was one of the main ways to push that away. I don't know if I would say swallowing the pain, but I wouldn't want to even look at the pain. I wouldn't want to look at the memory because all I can remember is just nothing but painful memories, one after the other throughout my life. And even with my sisters, there was bullying with my sisters. They did some really horrific things, which I will talk about in another video. But they did some very horrible things too to me. So it was like I had no memory of anybody treating me very well, except for my grandmother. I remember my grandmother treated me pretty well. We will be talking about my grandmother in another video though. So this is the mindset of a little girl. This mindset carried on to me being an adult. And I tried to make my life normal, but it just wouldn't happen. And a lot of people say, well, just forget the past. Well, I couldn't forget the past. And so what would happen is I would have these memories constantly and I'd be pushing and pushing and pushing. So I had some really roller coaster relationships. I did have children and my children didn't understand me. My whole objective with my kids, my agenda was to keep them safe. There was always people that were telling me they could do a better job than me. I made some pretty stupid choices because of that. I felt so alienated. So then in my early 30s, my older sister called. Now, it's really important for you to understand that it was my older sister who reported my dad. She was the one who noticed the difference in my behavior, the horrific difference in my behavior prior to my dad hurting me and then after he sexually abused me. And so she's the one who reported him. I couldn't. If you watch the dynamics of abuse, you'll understand why I couldn't. So I'm about 33 years old. I had just gone through schooling to become a medical assistant, which is a person who works in a medical doctor's office. I was struggling. I loved the book work, but kept everything. And I literally kind of rewrote the whole book in my notes to try to remember everything. I had my books handy. I had this really great intelligence on certain things, but on day-to-day living and day-to-day relationships, I just couldn't do it. My brain would break down. I couldn't function. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think after a while, and my anxiety levels were so extreme. Again, I would try to make instant connections with people, and also, too, I think there was this part of me that wanted to show everybody how normal I was. And yet inside, I really wasn't normal. So my sister calls me and she says, Dad is talking about you. Now, my dad, he drank a lot. He was an alcoholic, full-fledged alcoholic, pretty much the rest of his life. And he lost a ton of weight. He didn't look like the same man as when we were kids. Again, Sherry and I had this conversation about how he seemed like a completely different person. But she had called me and she said, he's talking about you to his girlfriend. Now, my dad started dating a woman that he had dated prior to my mother. And she was a very nice lady. And for all appearances, up until this point, no one ever talked about the incest. It was what I call whispers in the wind. There were times I would try to talk about it, but I couldn't articulate it. And a lot of people didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to believe it. One of those things that's very, very difficult conversations. Anyway, apparently this one heard about it. And Sherry said, yeah, but what he did was he blamed it all on you. So here I am. I'm 33 years old now, still very messed up, but I'm coherent enough that I'm all of a sudden, for the first time, I actually look at those memories in a different way. And I'm like, that's not what happened at all. It's not my fault. Why is he saying that? And I was very upset. And so Sherry and I talked for a little bit and I hung up the phone and I called my dad. And I said, what are you doing? What are you saying? It was the very first time that I confronted my violator, one of them. And again, I should have watched the dynamics of abuse, the third video, because this will explain everything. He came back and he reiterated what Sherry had said. He goes, yeah, well, it's true. It was your fault. And for the very first time, I went like this. I focused. So what happened was I was focusing on this memory, and I was questioning it. I was bringing it here, and I started questioning him, and I said, how do you figure this? I was a young teenager, messed up, screwed up by mom, and then you gave me drugs. And you kept me under the influence of these drugs. And when I finally could, I ran away. So how do you see this as my fault? So I am actually not just questioning him. I'm also looking at that memory now as an adult and saying, wait a second. No longer can you blame me for this. The thing is up until that point, I carried that blame until I looked at my thumb and I said, no. And what was very interesting as well was he changed his tune. He went from saying it was my fault to that it was someone else's fault, that he had actually been sexually abused when he was younger. And so that was the reason. Me, at that point, I didn't care. Me, that was just his excuse. I wasn't looking at him trying to figure out the patterns of a violator and the delusional responses of a violator. I didn't care at that point. But what was happening was I was triggering his delusion. I was questioning his delusion because the delusion wraps around the violator and that violator tries to wrap that delusion around that victim. So what I did was I halted that delusion with me and then I halted it with him. And so he started to break down and started to use his thumb too, which is very interesting. But I will talk about that in another video. So what happened was I looked at the thumb. I questioned. And so after that phone call, which was the best thing that ever happened to me because I finally got to vent. I was shouting. I was yelling. I was like, how could you do this to your own daughter? You have screwed up my life. I am so messed up. I'm a wreck. I can't think. I never made the best choices. People that I was with, I should never have been with. I was victimized. I had this sign on my head that said, oh, you know what? I'm going to be gullible. I'm going to trust everybody. I'm going to do whatever you say. A lot of times I felt the robot from the Jetsons, just this person that was there to make everybody else's life good. And there was this constant condition throughout my life based on my mother and then the people that were in my life that I didn't deserve happiness. I didn't deserve to have a good life. My whole life was meant to take care of everybody else but me. Now, finally, though, I'm looking at the thumb. So I go to the library. Now, back then, there were no cell phones, no computers, no printer. You know, you couldn't type something out and print it, or even now you can go on your phone and print it from your phone and talk into your phone. There was none of that. We had a landline and that was it. Anyway, point is that I took and I went to a library and I looked out books on incest. And the CAPTA Act, the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act, was signed by President Nixon in 1974. And there was a movement coming, but there was a lot of resistance. People didn't want to talk about this. This was a very difficult and scary topic. And to think that someone was physically abused child is difficult enough. To think that someone would sexually abuse their child was shocking to a lot of people. So I remember I went to the library and I checked out books. So I brought them home and I'm looking at them. And first of all, some of them were so medically inclined that I had no clue what they were talking about. But then the ones that I could relate to, they were nothing at all of how I felt. They described nothing at all of what I had gone through. They were kind of off target. They were trying their best. They're out there trying to look in at someone who's been abused. But this is nothing of how I feel. So I decided at that point to write a story called Defamation of Character. And so the story is actually semi-fictional, and what it is about me. But there's fictional parts to it. The story goes where the girl's in the kitchen and sister calls her, tells her that her father's talking about her. But the difference is that the father's really wealthy. He has a huge business. So the girl decides to sue him for defamation of character because realistically, you can't sue someone who's poor. So the character of my dad is more like a tycoon type person who has a lot of money and a lot of influence. And so this woman decides to sue him. And so she goes to an attorney, and that is basically like the beginning of the book. The book is going to take the reader through the journey of me and how I feel. And so she goes to this attorney and she's going to tell him about her life. And in my mind, the person who was the attorney was Harrison Ford. I know maybe I shouldn't be telling you this, but I think it's really important for you to understand because I saw Star Wars for the very first time when it was out. Then I crossed Harrison's path later on in life. It's so weird how this happened, but I always had this high regard for him. I'd seen him in the Star Wars and I seen him in Indiana Jones, but I also seen him in other movies. And for some reason, I felt that he would be a great advocate. When I work with people one-on-one, you just have to sign a waiver because I can't be responsible for you, but I share the information. And that's how I started. And then slowly I created the Dynamics of Abuse videos so that I could just share it with everybody. And now I'm doing this. But when I tell people what happened to me, I get 3 responses. And so the first response is, oh my gosh, I feel so awful for you. Now that response is usually coming from people who have not been abused. At least that's my opinion. Not been abused by their parents, at least. They wouldn't have an inclination of how that could even happen or how that would feel like. And then the second response I get is, oh my gosh, that's happened to me too. Those people I instantly connect with. There's this underlying wire between us, really. And a lot of times when I tell people that, they will tell me that they've been abused for the very first time. They've never told anyone else. So that's why I call myself a coach. But the third remark is, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about it at all. I don't want to think about it. Don't tell me your story. And I believe those people are people that have suffered some kind of traumatic incident. Now, it doesn't mean that it's from their parents. It doesn't mean it's sexual abuse, physically, or anything like that. Something has happened to make them want to push their hands back. And I did this before I even had this analogy of people or was an advocate coach. I wanted to lead this reader down this path that wasn't too, because when I was reading some of these books, I had to shut them. It was too much. And I thought, I'm going to write this story so that people that have had this happen can read this. So in the book, those 3 groups of people are in that story without me even understanding or realizing how this happened. So the first grouping is the attorney. The attorney is the person that's never had this happen to them before. And Harrison actually has the persona of Harrison, but also too the understanding of Perry Mason, because he needs to have that knowledge of legal action. He needs to be able to decipher whether I can go to court. And then he's the attorney that has me up on the stand talking. And so the story goes where it slowly brings out my whole life. It's about this woman who is struggling with all these issues now. And then the testimony, when she gets into court, brings out little bits and pieces of the past. So the reader just comes in a little bit, comes in a little bit, comes in a little bit, just a little bit at a time. The third person is the husband, and the husband leaves her. He can't deal with the issues that she has. And he has his own issues too, which is interesting because I'm aware of everybody else's problems at the time too. I'm highly acutely aware of everyone else's issues except my own, but I'm showing it in this story. I'm finally acknowledging it, looking at these things right now. So in the book, she wins the court case, but she loses her husband in a divorce. And then the very last chapter is where she's in a gymnasium and she's talking to a group of kids and she's talking about parental abuse, physical, mental, sexual. And so in the end of the book, what happens is she's putting away her things. The kids are leaving the gym and one little boy has his hands in his pockets and he comes up and he wants to talk to her. How profound. Not only I think it's an amazing story, I understand now my psychology of what was going on with me. I was finally seeing that I wasn't the only one, because there was a point where I thought that I was the only person that this happened to. And as I went through this book and doing the research on certain things, I realized I wasn't the only one. So finally, at the end of the story, that chapter just came together that I'm in a gymnasium and I'm talking to these children. And here is this little boy who is reaching out for help. As I'm typing this now, again, there were no computers. We didn't have a printer with a computer. I had an electronic typewriter. And I typed this out in that electronic typewriter and it would hold the story and then I would print it out. So I printed it out and I gave it to a junior high English teacher to critique. Telling you this story is okay, and even the theory of this story, the theme of the story, but actually writing all this, very difficult for me. And I did the best I could. I gave it to this English teacher and they sent it back and they had all the grammatical check marks and red flags and what to change. And then in the margin on one of the pages, it says, I had tears in my eyes. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh. Now that was the very first time through that book that I got to detail things. I'd been to therapists, but usually what would happen is I would talk to them and vent about what happened through that week. I never really got to detail every single thing and bring it out like that. So it took me quite a long time to write this book. But once that English teacher said that, that was an acknowledgement to me. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to become a bestseller. This book's going to be a best-selling book, and I'm going to become this huge advocate, and everybody's going to just have compassion for me, and they're going to care about me, and they're going to understand me mostly. Love the story because the woman is going through these storms in her head and trying to describe them. I was excited. I printed it out. I think I made like 8 to 10 copies of it. And then I sent it off to publishers. Remember, there was no self-publishing. There was no place where you could upload a book online and sell it through another company or website. You had to have like an agent behind you. And I didn't have any of that. So, but I was so excited. I'm like, I'm going to get this book. I'm going to actually have some money behind me, and I'm going to be able to become an advocate, get on radio talk shows and be on the news. And in my own mind, I'm constantly fighting these storms. And I thought, okay, I'm changing my world. I'm changing direction by doing this book. So I'm all excited. I'm waiting for the publisher's reply, and they come back one by one, and every single publisher rejected my story. So, like this, I put my hands back behind me, and I ended up actually being worse. My behavior was double of what it was, and I was more combative. It was like a slap in the face. It was like, you know what? We don't care. We don't care. It's just not something we're going to make a lot of money off of. That was the first thing I thought. They just don't care. They can't make money off of it. To hell with it. The other part was it was too embarrassing, too shaming of a topic. And I often think what the difference would have been in my life had somebody published it. I think things would have been so different for me. And also too, I look at what I'm doing as my advocacy is just a dot on this sheet of paper with other people who do advocacy. But because that dot was missing, the whole picture doesn't come through. And I ended up just for the next 20 years being in horrific states of mental chaos. It was just nothing but storms in my mind, constant. And it got worse and worse, the mental breaking down of my brain. And what was happening was my nervous system was shutting down, and I didn't understand that. And I would try and I would try and I would try, and I would start to get somewhere, maybe financially, maybe with a job, maybe with a relationship, and then boom, it would all blow up in my face. We all have our issues. I was hiding mine. Mine was in a closet. How can I look at other people when mine was in a closet? But I could see theirs definitely and not mine. It's all you. It's not me. Get into now is I was always suicidal throughout my whole life. When I was in my 20s, I ended up in E-ward. And not too many people know about that, but I was always suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts. But eventually what happened is as time went on, I started to have what I call suicidal trance-like state. And I have a theory on this where when you're born, I believe that you are born with autonomic responses that protect you. And there's physical autonomic protection and there's mental. And I believe the mental mirrors the physical. And I believe there's also a hierarchical pattern to this. So as a child, I had that, but because of the abuse of my mother, it was disconnected. And a lot of people may refer this to as their sense of self. So I had no connection to my sense of self when I was younger. And I believe that's where the suicidal thoughts would come from. That lack of feeling like I matter. All that verbal abuse is that illusion in her head. Then it was enforced through the physical abuse. She's grooming me with the verbal abuse. You're no good. You're ugly. No one's going to love you. You're disgusting. That I would believe it. So I believe what happened was that disconnected me from those autonomic processes. I wasn't able to mentally process as a child very much anyway. And now I'm completely disconnected from that mental processing of understanding that. Along with education, I miss 2.5, 3 years of school, at least, if not more, because even when I was there, I wasn't there. I believe that this connection got greater and greater. I remember suicidal trances, you're in black and white, and it's almost as if time stops. I think I'm going to have a different take on these situations. I have the ability, for some reason, to look at mental conditions I couldn't all my life, but now I can. And I'm hoping that my articulation will help other people that are suicidal, other people that have been abused by their parents, but also too, people that haven't, so they can understand what it feels like to have mental conditions, what it feels like to be abused by your parents. So, but up until this point, I was starting to really disconnect completely from that sense of self. You know, my children, I always felt everything I did was for protecting them, and I hope as they get older now, they start to see that. I remember watching Quincy Jones, and he was talking about his mother who had mental conditions and how he didn't understand it till he got to this certain point. And that sticks with me. It's very difficult to understand someone's behavior. One of the analogies I use is the headache. If I have a headache, you're going to see it, usually. I will hold my head. I will be grumpy maybe or withdrawn. And you'll say, what's wrong? And I'll say, I have a headache. And you'll say, oh, I know how that feels because you had a headache. But if I have an outward flare from my borderline personality disorder, you won't understand that. It's so foreign to you. Or if I'm triggered by my complex PTSD and I'm terrified, I have my flight or fight responses starting to fire off within me. When you're looking at a storm, you can see the storm coming, but once you're in the storm, you can't. Well, I'm in that storm. You just happen to be on the outer part, seeing the behavior outwardly. And so I think I'm one of the very first people that are going to be able to articulate this to you and give a different understanding and a different way of looking at it. Because when I do have a flare, or I am triggered from borderline personality, or I am suffering from my dysthymia, which I suffer major depression, if I can articulate to you what it's going on, well, then maybe you can say, oh, you know what? I get it. Just like a headache. So I believe that there will come a time where my children will get to be like Quincy Jones, and they will say, oh, I get it now. I understand. And they will look at their thumb too, as adults, not looking at the past and all the rhetoric and all the drama, people perpetuating issues. And so I knew that if I ended my life, that would probably never happen because the pain of that memory for them, they'd keep their hands back here. So I called the suicide hotline and I talked to a lady and then I talked to a man. He was a behavioral therapist. And the thing is I had talked to psychiatrists and they did me no good. First of all, I didn't trust them. But secondly, I would go in, I would vent what was going on, and literally I could just insert different names. I could say the same thing and just insert this person's name here, and this was the volatile fight or the explosion or the issue. Insert this job here, and I'm having problems here. And the names would change, but the situations were always the same. So, but this was different. This behavioral therapist, what he did was, first of all, he taught me how to journal. And then through that, we actually had a whiteboard up and we would take information from one specific memory and then we would look at that information. And so what were we doing? This. Honing in, focusing on one thing and then looking at it as an adult now, trying to mentally process it through the eyes of an adult. For example, there was a song that my dad used to sing to us that I didn't even realize. I thought it was a kid's song. It actually has a lot of sexual connotation to it. Whoa. I mean, and my therapist brought that to my attention. I recommend you go to a therapist because that's what therapists do. When you are suffering from mental conditions and issues and trauma, the therapist, hopefully, really good one, they will be able to help you
mentally process
this information as an adult. And look at it now. Well, what does it mean now? And what was the specifics? Now, I take that much further. The dynamics of abuse, I think everybody should watch that. Everybody should watch it. It's free. Go watch it. It'll take your time, but that's it. And if you don't agree with it, okay, fine. But maybe you might agree with a couple things. But I didn't have the dynamics of abuse yet. I didn't have any of that. All I had was every once in a while looking at a memory and doing this. And at the same time, he also the one who diagnosed me with the multiple mental conditions, PTSD, borderline personality disorder, and dysthymia, depression. At first, I'm like, you're full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. Again, it was this, it's all them, not me. It was my parents, not me. It's my sisters, it's my boyfriends, it's my ex-husbands, it's my kids, it's not me. And for the next couple of months, we would talk about these mental conditions and we'd get into the symptoms. Unfortunately, I ended up leaving that city. So then I couldn't see that doctor anymore. But I decided that I was going to continue with what we talked about, with journaling. I started looking up the specific mental conditions. And what I was doing was, as I was journaling, and it takes time, it took me 4 years to journal enough where I started to be able to see these patterns and say, oh, I get it. Okay. And then look at a mental condition and say, what are the symptoms of the mental condition? What are the symptoms of the mental condition? And do I portray any of that? Just kind of dipping my feet into the water, getting myself to that point. And then finally, it got to the point where when I got to this and said, well, yeah, I can see that. Well, what can I do about it? Is there anything I can do about it? And that's where I wiggle the thumb. I put therapies in place, a plan, an evaluation plan, trying to foresee a situation that will happen. What therapy can I put in place for that? And then just mentally checking in, are the therapies working? And if not, okay, let's try to think something else up. And that's what I was doing. So that is what I call wiggling the thumb. So with all this, when I started to do this process as well with the mental conditions, I decided that I wanted to study everything that I didn't learn about. So when I study any topic, I put it in a category and I call it the circles and the squares. The left brain would be studies that are like mathematics and science, and the right brain are things like art and philosophy. And so I try to balance. I'll learn about mathematics for a little while, and then I'll go study music. Or I'll learn about electricity, and then I'll go study religion. Or I'll go study some language. Just take a look at languages. And I do it by this. I'm constantly bringing it in and going like this. I'm going to bring this slide up for you, and we're just going to go through this in summary. Basically, putting both hands out is just gaining information about something, about listening to expert opinion. It's about listening to reviews, just general information that's out there. And also, too, taking everything that you're learning with a grain of salt, creating the awareness of it. And then the second thing, looking at hand, what I'm doing is I'm now going to start to focus on something within that topic. In other words, I've studied anatomy and now I study mental conditions, because mental conditions are not just mental, they're biological. So then I'm honing in at the symptoms of the mental condition and making notes, and I'm doing the book work. I'm looking at statistical study. I'm doing data research. And then the next thing, the thumb, is basically questioning the topic. How does it pertain to me? What does it have to do with me? All these questions. And then really at that final part of this is I find there's lots of things that I can worry about and stress over and have storms over. My mental conditions don't go away. You may not see them because I have therapies in place, but relational storms and the societal storms, what that does is it increases those mental storms, and the outward behavior increases the mental storm. What I can do right now? Nothing. Most of the time I'll say nothing. Right now, I'm just not going to think about that right now. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to change direction. Finally, once I wiggle the thumb, I'm putting plans in place, and then what I call an evaluation plan. Are the therapies working? Now, I don't do this on every single topic, but on the mental conditions and even the COVID-19, I have blood tests taken to see if my white cell count is good and my vitamin, my zinc, because I'm low on zinc, I'm low on vitamin D. I have issues with my thyroid. So I'm constantly checking, and the wiggling the thumb is creating the plan, and then the plan itself is executing that plan. Eating really good, healthy, organic food, exercising every day, even if I don't want to, even though I'm sad, just getting in there and just doing that. So that's the whole thing. I'm going to try to be proactive and respond to some of the arguments you may have, or some of the comments or the thoughts that you have on this whole process. So the first thing I would think you would say is, wow, that's really exhaustive. It isn't. I think of people that do the martial arts. If you've ever watched them, what'll happen is they're doing a series of movements to block someone from attacking them from a certain angle. And then they're doing another series of movements to block from someone attacking from a different angle. So someone could have the wrist and they're doing something. Someone could come from behind and they're going to do something. And they're constantly doing these movements. What they're doing is they're building up strength, and they're also building up muscle, mental, memory. So they're building up the strength and the autonomic response so that if somebody does attack them, they are going to be able to protect themselves. For you, I'm telling you that in order, but for me, I've learned these things back and forth, looking back in time. So when I was a runaway, a man who was a black belt in karate, and he told me that when he walks outside of his house, he knows everything that's going on. He's completely aware. If he goes and sits in a restaurant, he knows exactly what everybody else is doing. He doesn't focus on it, but he's aware of it. He's aware of everything. And so by doing this, you're creating awareness, and then you're also creating focus. What matters? And then you are creating autonomic responses by putting a plan in place. So then what will happen is eventually this just happens. And actually, I've been doing this for many, many years. I just didn't have a way to articulate it. I didn't have an analogy of wiggling the thumb. And as silly as it sounds, it's the truth. I could have probably used some other analogy, but I like this one. It's easy to think about. The next thing is that helps me to organize my thoughts and not increase the anxiety that I already have exponentially and make something even worse in my head. Like say I'm having an argument with someone. I will automatically say, nothing I can do about it right now. So let me go do something different. Let me go play cards, or let me go see my friends, or Zoom with my friends, or maybe watch a movie that I enjoy, or learn something. Let me go take a class. Let me go do something artistic, or let me go sing. I'll go put on YouTube and find some songs, and I'll sing the songs, do something that I enjoy doing. So those are therapies. What I'm doing is I'm changing direction. I'm releasing that worry. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Can I do anything about it in the future? Well, I'll think about it then. Let it go. Let it go. I usually have a plan in place for people that I have issues with. And then I'll revisit it after a week or two and I'll say, ready to talk about it? Nope, not yet. Okay, that's how I do this. And that's helping me with my mental storm. The next thing is create some control of my behavioral outbursts. So I would rather be proactive than reactive. Just like the person in the martial arts. This man also told me, he says, we're not out to hurt anybody. Depending upon the measure of somebody attacking them, they will essentially make it where this person won't be able to attack them. They are literally measuring the amount of strength and the amount of movement they need to do in order to prevent that. So depending upon how aggressive this person is that's attacking them will be how they react. But the thing is when they react, it's all measured and controlled. So with the mental conditions that I have, I'm trying not to overreact. I'm trying to follow what is really going on with me, which something has affected me. If I'm triggered by PTSD or if I'm having borderline personality disorder. Now, depression's a little bit more difficult. And I'll talk about that in my depression, my dysthymia video. But I have therapies put in place so that I won't flare on a person, because a lot of times what will happen is whatever is happening is valid. Somebody is treating me badly, or they're not taking me into consideration, or I've been hurt some way. But that doesn't mean that I should overreact. And what will happen is instead of what their behavior was and questioning their behavior, because I have overreacted, the focus goes on my overreaction. And so they're missing the point. And so is everyone else. And so is myself. I get so caught up in the flare or the triggering effect that the reason that it happened is lost, not just on those other people, but on myself. So the therapies are created so that I can try to control my behavioral response out there. Now, do I have the behavioral response? People will ask. Yes, sometimes I do. You just don't see it. I will vent in my house. I will punch a pillow. I will get mad. I will scream, but you don't see it. I'm not having it go out onto another person. And I think with this whole thing, that in itself makes this worth it. But the final reason is because, as I talked about that sense of self, losing that, disconnecting in a huge way, this whole thing, the therapy playbook, the wiggling the thumb, what that is doing, it is connecting me back to that sense of self. I guess you could say it is an artificial way in a way, but it really isn't, because what I'm doing is translating into those internal autonomic processes, both physical and mental, that I care about myself. The physical processes are eating organic foods and staying away from stuff that's going to cause toxins to get in my body. And the mental stuff is to really look at my mind and acknowledge pain and be able to translate what is pain. To be able to translate that takes that perception into a whole different mindset. Being able to understand what is trauma. I don't look out there. I've looked out there enough, but that's not how I feel. That is not what's going on with me. So the final thing and the most important thing is this is my extended sense of self, this whole process, and it's building me up. It's building that translation that I matter. And that is the main communication that I feel I need to impose upon myself. I matter. I am acknowledging all those processes, and I believe that they're hierarchical, but you don't have to. You can just say they're physical and mental, but I believe there's something much grander beyond it. But I am translating that and saying, you know what? I do matter. I am going to be doing this analogy. I'm going to be wiggling my thumb. I'm going to be containing all this information. And that's where my therapy playbook comes into play. To me, I matter enough to do this process, and I'm hoping that if you feel the truth of what I'm saying here, please make your own therapy playbook. So now we're going to go through some of the supplies that I use. Now, I didn't have all this to start with, and when I had the money, I would go out and get these supplies. I don't even think I started with a regular 3-ring binder. I had a tiny little binder this big, but eventually I got a nice size 3-ring binder. I'm going to show it to you. So this is my 3-ring binder. This is my main playbook. I have other playbooks. You could call it an encyclopedia. You could call it a policy manual. I call it a playbook because it has a little bit of information, and then it has some direction of what I'm going to take, valuations on things and whatnot. So if I were you, when you do invest in a 3-ring binder, get one that's thick enough and maybe even separate things. Like I have one for gardening, and I just slowly learn about gardening. I kind of take it as a class. I have one on computers, which that one's huge because I've been in computers for 20 years. So that kind of thing where you're learning about stuff. So anyway, front cover is really important. When you're designing your front cover, keep in mind that this is an extension of you. Do you remember the Apple IIe computers? I had one after that electronic typewriter. And I think of the floppy drive. And the floppy drive held a lot of the information. The computer had the base, and the floppy drive would contain some information, and you had to have the drive to save stuff. I kind of think of it that way. But in the front of my book, I have a lot of butterflies in different colors and different species and whatnot. And the reason is because each one of these butterflies represents me in some fashion. I'm neither glass half empty or glass half full kind of person. I am the glass is full of water, and all of it is me. There's healthy stuff about me. There's unhealthy stuff about me. There's been some horrible memories, but there's good memories too. And to try to balance and not polarize things. I try not to have a favorite color. I try not to have a favorite genre of music. I try to just leave everything open where I'm just looking out. you know, when you're in your car and you're driving and you look out beyond where the road is and you're just looking at everything, that's what I try to do. And so this is an analogy to that. So every time I pick up my playbook, I think, okay, I'm balancing myself, because oftentimes I'll get a thought in my head. I'll have a reply. I'll get mad at something. I'll get opinionated. Then I'll look at this and say, okay, knock it off. So that's what I do. So now let's just look through it really simply. I'm not going to go through everything. I do think another thing that you should have are 3-hole punch loose leaf paper. Also, the 3-hole punch computer printing paper is important. This is the eraser that I use. So I really have used these, and I've gone through one already. I would suggest you try to get this right away because it is very nice. Pencils, colored pencils, red pencil, and then black pen or blue pen, and then red pen. I don't use the pens as much as I use the pencils. I have stuff on my computer. I'll transfer it over to my binder. The other things are, let's take a look, tabs of some sort. Here's my first tab. This is my first index. The other thing is when I research things, like I said, I go out and I bring them in. So if you're going to ask me, well, where should I start? The first thing I would start with is take an anatomy class. And what I mean is every Saturday from 10 to noon, sit down and start to study anatomy and start way out here and come in. So start with the body and then the systems of the body and find out all about the systems and just general. Write that on a sheet of paper. You've got the circulatory, you've got the muscular, you've got the skeletal, the nervous system. So do that. And then from there, on each sheet after that, break that system down into the organs that work in that system and then into the tissue, which is a group of collected cells of a certain type, and then into the cells and get all the way down into the cells. Just do this with every system. Just go down. Every cell is pretty much the same, but they're just slightly different. Now, when I first started, I didn't have any kind of guides or anything. I just would draw pictures. I would do stick people, as you could see on my tab. But I did end up buying these study guides. And I think these study guides are great to have, especially if you're going to be studying the anatomy, because to me, it's just a very nice reference. And like I said, you don't have to have these. I'll put a link below. But eventually what I do is I draw it. I would also get lined Post-it paper, or at least cut up some lined paper into this size and then have tape. Like, for example, what that says is see the human mind, which means that somewhere in this book there's a tab that says the human mind. I wouldn't use blue or purple. I would use yellow or white or very light color, because even this is kind of hard for me to read eventually. I don't know, because I'm old. But I would just use the lighter. That'll work better for you. And then what I did was I broke down the binder into physical, mental, sciences, and then my journaling and my dream journal. I think that's how I've got it. I also use these tabs. These are great. And then I also have these tabs. The way I study things, again, is I start with both hands and then I focus in. So, like, for example, I told you about the body, then like the blood. I'll study the red blood cell, the oxygen exchange and whatnot. And then I'll study all the white blood cells. I look at it out here and then I hone in on each cell. So this is computer printed out picture of the white cells. What's a white cell test with a differential? What's a neutrophil? What's an eosinophil? What do they do in the body? And then I get into each one a little bit further. The structure, then the function. How does it work? So try to keep that in your mind as you're learning. There's a structure and a function. And there's a structure and a function to everything. Even electricity. The atomic structure, but then there's the function of these electrons and protons and neutrons. But then getting into minerals and vitamins and things like that. So here's minerals. And I've got a little tab that tells me, and I just grab this information and I bring it down, and then I start to hone in on it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I've been working on this for about 8 years. I knew I had a vitamin D deficiency. So here I'm writing. I find that writing the material actually helps me remember it better, sort of. But I have this, so this is great. This is my extension. So I'm going to show you the last one is going to be about electricity. I want to show you, I used colored pencil. People will say, well, why did you want to learn about electricity? Well, I use electricity every single day, for one. And eventually, after learning all about electricity and circuitry, then I started taking a look at my utility bills. And I started saying, well, what can I do to reduce my utility bills? So technically, almost everything that I study comes down to this, but sometimes it doesn't. I love studying astronomy and astrology. It's interesting to me. The whole point is to contain all this processing in a way that you can take and look at it, reference it, if you have evaluations in place. Another thing maybe this or binder clips or something to put on top of whatever you're studying. I study about 4 things a week, and I do it like a class. So I'll study from Saturday from 11 to noon. Right now I'm studying radio frequency, and I have been for 6 months. And then maybe from 2 to 4 or whatever, couple hours, I look at cymatics. So studying frequency, but I'm also studying the ear, kind of hand in hand. The only final thing that I wanted to say to you is that I never showed anybody the playbook up until recently. Now, I've always suggested in the videos that you get your own playbook. I always say get a 3-ring binder and some loose leaf paper. And as I go through the dynamics of abuse videos, I keep kind of trying to reinforce that because it's something that I think would really help everyone. And create your own playbook. What's important to you? You can go online for free classes for lots of things. Really making the decision and saying, okay, I want to learn about anatomy and I want to learn about mental conditions. And even if you don't have a mental condition, it's good to learn about mental conditions. It's good to understand what's going on with other people. Or maybe I want to learn a language. And that's what I did. I went out there and researched languages in general. And then I honed in. Do I learn it where I can actually speak it? No. But I learn it where I understand the grammatical structure of a different language, the history of this language. I'll learn about the people who are speaking this language, their religion, their philosophies. And it's opened up my mind to see that the nouns are in different places, the verbs are in different places. And I literally had to go and learn about grammar. I didn't know anything about grammar. It was like I turned 18 when I was 40, okay, and I'm learning all this stuff. I have spoken to people from other countries and I couldn't understand them. Well, no wonder. They're twisting the sentence in a way that I'm not used to hearing it. Makes it where when I am driving down the highway, I see the road, but I also see everything in front of me. So, and I'm hoping that you take this information, and if you've liked what I've said here, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, please let me know in the comments below. And if you really like this video and you want to see more of them, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification so that you can see future videos that come out. So until then, please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again next time in Lisa's channel.